Remember, if for any reason you must leave your radio, please have the man at the door stamp your ear so you can listen again later.
Saturday mornings, 8:30 Eastern. Dixie Football Nation is back and better than ever. We've got Tony Agolini, Matt Carr, Tones Ariola, Bobby and Angelo, along with Mac McGee this fall. Dixie Football Nation heads to the gridiron, talking ACC, SEC, the Big Ten, and all the big games throughout the college football land. That's Dixie Football Nation, 8:30 Eastern, 7:30 Central, Saturday mornings on the Armchair Quarterback Show's YouTube channel, going live. Or catch the instant replay.
Screen pass to Trayshawn DeAndre on the right side. He dodges Crushman, makes his way to the end zone. Touchdown! But wait a second. I think there's a flag on the play.
All right, you guys got holding on number 97, right?
Yeah, definitely holding. No touchdown.
All right, make the call.
Yeah, I mean, it was holding.
All right, so make the call.
Or, we say the flag was for an excessive celebration so they can keep the touchdown and apply the penalty to the kickoff, huh? What do you say?
What are you talking about? I didn't see excessive celebration.
You sure? Could have sworn I saw a little nay-nay going on.
What's going on with you, man?
All right, look, guys, I got to be real with you. Trayshawn DeAndre just scored that touchdown, okay? I have him on my fantasy team this week. I need these points.
What? Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not kidding you, Bill. I'm playing against my father-in-law this week, and if he doesn't score this touchdown, I lose.
Well, I'm not going to let you make a bad call because you're in some fantasy football league.
Make the call.
Craig, no. If you make one bad call...
This works out perfectly, Bill. I started the quarterback who threw the touchdown pass. We're going to have to ignore the holding call.
I have the kicker, and I was kind of hoping that he wouldn't convert on third down, so he'd have to kick the field goal.
Armchair.
Get your Sunday football morning started off right with the Handicappers on Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube, 10 a.m. Eastern to noon Eastern. Your Sunday morning kickoff show where we tackle your NFL lines out in the desert, a 61.2% win rate over the last 6 years. Against the spread, over, under, money line, you name it. And we dive into the world of fantasy football year-long and your DFS payouts. Your only true Southern football kickoff show that talks the spreads in Vegas, your DFS and fantasy, and your year-long quest to win that fantasy football championship. Only on the Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube channel. It's the Handicappers on Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube, 10 a.m. Eastern to noon Eastern. Sundays, all NFL season long. The Armchair Quarterbacks on YouTube Live, covering the AFC South and NFC South along with the rest of the NFL. Subscribe and like us today. Your first choice for sports talk live from the First Coast. Good morning and welcome to the Armchair Quarterback. Starting off with a little Gators and golf this morning. Tony Agolini, how the hell are you this morning, sir?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I am much happier now that the Atlanta Braves have clinched.
That's right.
Which means I don't have any games to do until next week.
Even better against the Phillies, which is nice.
Yes, it was a heck of a game. And in true Braves fashion, of course, it had to have a little bit of nail biting, but I was pleasantly surprised what Will Smith did to close the ninth. He's pitched a little better. He still gets the old ticker going, but all in all, I can't be unhappy with the result. And I believe that Atlanta has a very good chance of upsetting Milwaukee, because if people missed it, Milwaukee's setup guy, who is just as important as their closer, Josh Hader, but their setup guy, Devin Williams, broke his hand in a celebration of partying, drinking, punched a wall. Very similar, very ironic, because Atlanta's, at the time he was our ace, Wasker Yanoa, since he's come back from the injury, it's not been the case. But anyways, he broke his hand in Milwaukee punching a bench, frustrated after a bad outing, and it all comes full circle. Now they're going to be without Williams for the duration of the playoffs, and I think it makes Milwaukee very, very susceptible to not only not now, because before they were going to be my favorite to make the World Series. Now I don't have them going there because Williams is that important to them.
Yeah, it was awesome. I was score tracking because there was like 3 different things on last night, so I kept checking the score, and 1-0, and then 5-0, then 5-2, 5-3, and I'm like, oh God, please don't. Obviously there's time, but get this thing wrapped up so you can maybe rest some guys and that kind of thing. So yeah, glad it all worked out last night.
Yeah, they had a solo shot that was given up in the 8th inning. They got it really close at 5-3. Snicker did this, and he does this quite a bit, where if one of his guys, so to speak, is pitching well, he'll roll him back out there to the 7th inning, and then he always waits until it gets a little too close for comfort. Normally, when you do this, most managers, the first sign of trouble, the first base hitter that he comes on, and the first base hitter, the first base hit that they gave up, it was basically a slider that didn't slide, and Miller was able to lift it into right field pretty easily. That right, to me, at that point, I'm thinking, okay, he's going to go get him. No, he waits until we've given up 2 runs and away we go. But anyways, it is over, and the Atlanta Braves won their 4th consecutive division title. Probably the most difficult one they've done so far.
Yeah.
So before we get into football, because I know we always shortchange golf. First of all, congratulations to the U.S. team for winning the Ryder Cup. How excited were you for that?
I was pretty excited. It was awesome. I saw a few nicknames like the whitewash at Whistling Straits, or the ass whip at Whistling Straits. So there's probably a few coming, but yeah, it was good. It was really neat, obviously, for Stricker being the captain, winning in his home state. That tournament was in Wisconsin, if you didn't know from the 4,000 Wisconsin commercials over the weekend. And if you didn't drink Pepsi Zero or drive a BMW after that, I don't know what you were watching, but minus 100 billion commercials, NBC's coverage was pretty good. I did see Bones Mackay, who was really good, by the way, on those broadcasts. He's actually going to be Justin Thomas's caddy going forward, and Bubba Watson and his caddy, who I guess was probably tired of getting chewed out week after week. They parted ways. So you'll see some caddy changes in this next season. But, the Ryder Cup was great. I think the best way I could put it is we finally found a combination of 12 guys who want nothing more to, drink a few beers and maybe a seltzer or White Claw or something like that, and then just go beat the brains out of Europe every 2 years. And, they need to do it on Europe soil at some point. So hopefully in Rome in 2013. But it's a really good group, maybe the best team we've ever put out there as far as just young talent and what the guys have accomplished thus far in their careers. And these guys like Morikawa and, Scheffler hasn't even won on PGA Tour yet officially. And, he's got a super bright future. So a lot of these guys will be back in 2023. And behind them, there's probably 4 or 5 guys that are under 30 that, will have a long-term impact on the Ryder Cup as well. And for Europe, a lot of their guys, Westwood's been playing in that's forever. Poulter's been playing forever. Rory, believe it or not, it feels like he's been in like 7 or 8 of these so far. Rory's got some things to figure out, but there'll be a new crop of young guys, I think, playing for Europe on their home soil in a couple of years too. I think Europe's team will look a lot different than America's team in 2 years, but it was awesome. It was all you could ask for. And it was definitely worth it. If you get a chance, watch the post round press conference with the entire team for the USA, because they're already half in the bag, and it basically always turns into a big giant roast, which was a lot of fun. So, but it was cool. It was good to see them celebrate and let loose a little bit afterwards.
So this week, not a whole lot going on in the PGA, but you said that they are over with the Euro Tour. What makes it so special?
Yeah, the Euro Tour, and it's on in the mornings, obviously over here, but they're playing. It's a combo turn. It's one tournament, but they play 3 different courses. I forget the third one, but they're playing Carnoustie, which is my second favorite British Open venue, and then St Andrews, which is my favorite British Open venue. So 2 of those courses are involved. They'll rotate over 4 days, and you're really just watching more for the course. But Fleetwood and a lot of the Euros are playing in that this week. A couple Americans. And then on the U.S. side, Sergio is the defending champion at the Sanderson Farms, which is in the metropolis of Jackson, Mississippi. So it's really him and like maybe 3 or 4 other name guys, and then a bunch of young guys are playing in that one. And then the senior tour is actually here in Jacksonville next weekend, playing at Timuquana. It's Jim Furyk's new tournament, so it's the first one for that. But it's got a laundry list.
Timuquana, wow.
Yeah, all of the all of the big names, I guess, on the Champions Tour, which if you say that, it means like Mickelson and Furyk and some of those guys.
Tough times for the PGA Tour, huh?
Well, they're here. I mean, I'm trying to think. I mean, Timuquana's been around forever, 1930s or so, and that's probably that and Pablo Creek are probably the 2 toughest courses to get on here in town. And I've never been out there. I'm tempted to go just to kind of walk the course, but yeah, that'll be fun. It's a big fundraiser for Furyk's Foundation and all that stuff. But it'll be cool. That'll be on Golf Channel. It's only Friday through Sunday, unless it's a major. The seniors only go for 3 days. But that'll be cool to see all those guys back in town when it's not TPC.
All right, so let's go ahead and dive into football. We'll obviously get into more of this tomorrow with the college football kickoff show. We always like to get our whistles wet with college football. Before we head to that, the Jaguars had a chance to get the first win of the season. And I believe dopey play calling decisions led to their demise. They're up 14-0 at the end of the first half, have a chip shot field goal to make it a 3-score game, and they try to go for it on 4th down and get thwarted. And they go into half now, and now you've given Cincinnati some momentum, and they come out slinging it, and Jacksonville ends up losing. It was a fun game. I enjoyed the heck out of it. I ended up catching it in earnest in the second half because I was broadcasting the Braves game last night. So obviously I missed the first half, but I was watching off with one eye. As I was doing the broadcast, I'd look over and see the Jags in between pitches. And I could not believe, I was like, what in the world happened? I had to rewind it when I got off the air to find out what in the world happened. It's like they were down there about to score. They didn't get a field goal, they didn't get nothing. And I noticed that they had the ball there on like their 2-yard line. So I was thinking maybe there's a turnover. I never would have dreamed that they would have went for it already up. What say you?
At the time, I wanted them to go for it. I mean, you're 0-3 and you're 0-3 and at like the ball was inside of the
3-score game.
The ball was the ball was,
even if you score a touchdown, it's still a 3-score game.
Yeah, it was inside of the one. I didn't like the play call. They had ran that play about 4 different times, and each one, it's different when you're at like the 30-yard line, and Cincinnati's got to worry about the entire length of the field. But Jaguars had everybody bunched in. They tried to go kind of like a option right, and if he pitches it, Robinson probably walks in because it's him and another guy one-on-one trying to get to the pylon. But Lawrence kept it, and nobody on the right side decided to block. But my biggest thing was with the play call. I think if the Jags were 2-1 or something like that, you'd probably go ahead and take the points. But I felt like they'd been running the ball in Cincinnati. What I don't get is, put Lawrence under center and either let him quarterback sneak it because they were that close, or just hand the ball to Robinson. They don't need to run some play action and have Lawrence, try and run around. But in hindsight, you would take the 17-0 lead to halftime, and in the second half.
I think in common sense sight, you take the 17-0. Yeah. I don't understand the philosophy. Oh, we'll get 3 up to 3 scores. You're going to be up 3 scores if you kick the field goal. Yeah. And it gives you no advantage to have an extra 4 points, but it gives you an extreme disadvantage to go away from there with nothing on a team that hasn't won. I guess we come from different schools of thought, but I just think it's insane
Like, get
You
the
think,
dude,
I
you
thought,
got the lead. You're on the road. Points are not easy to come by in the NFL. You get them at 17-0. They come out in the second half. Their daubers might be in the dirt, man. They might be out there looking around going, oh, God, here. Oh, my God, we're going to lose the Jaguars. There's a lot more pressing. 2 scores is nothing. So I don't know.
yes, but well, we found that out last night too, especially when Cincinnati decided to actually open it up a little bit. And obviously the Jaguars couldn't cover the tight end all night. What's frustrating for the Jags or watching the Jaguars is they traded CJ Henderson, which is fine. They actually got some production out of that tight end last night. CJ is a little bit of a head case. I think the change of scenery is hopefully going to get.
It was an extreme reach, and I said it when he got drafted.
Yeah.
Extreme
reach.
Absolutely. And all the Jaguar fans, oh man, we gotta get a gator. I got a gator. He sucked. He's a midget out there playing. I'm sorry. Yeah. You don't go up to get a guy in the top 10 who is going to be outmatched day in and day out in the NFL.
Yeah.
And look, I wish the kid well. He goes on to the next stop, but he was never going to make it in Jacksonville because of where they drafted him at. Right. They expected him to have an elite level of talent that he just simply didn't have.
Yeah. It's the same thing when they drafted Taven Bryant. Like, Taven would have been a great pick in the 5th or 6th round, and CJ Henderson would have been a great pick in maybe the late 2nd, 3rd round, something like that. But the trade to, go get him that high in the draft is just, it was dumb. I mean, you and I both watch enough Florida football, and, he was good. He's a good college cornerback, but those guys get roasted a lot of times in the NFL if you don't have the size or the height. It's tough guarding these 6'3", 240-pound receivers that everybody has in the NFL. But so you get him out of there. The kid from Georgia so far is not any good as a defensive back. So you're giving Cincinnati 8 to 10 yards.
Another reach. I didn't understand that draft.
I didn't either.
I didn't understand ETN in the first round. You already have he can't get it through his thick skull that he's got a very good running back in James Robinson that he utilized a little more last night, but I still felt like that they should have given him more touches. And he's finally he gets in the end zone twice, and to his credit, he's making the most out of his touches. But man, feed James Robinson. Yeah. He's going to keep the pressure off of Lawrence. He's going to give you a chance to develop. And now with the injury to DJ Chark, it's going to become imperative that they lean on that running game and quit. Good God, how many times we have to see Carlos Hyde get stuffed at the line? I mean, come on. The guy he's ancient.
Another bad signing. He wasn't even good the first time he was in Jacksonville. So
ancient.
Yeah. But yeah, the most frustrating thing to me, and that's why I thought, to your point about Robinson, that's why I thought Jacksonville would actually win last night. I thought that they would finally realize, give him the ball 20, 25 times a game and take the pressure off Lawrence, who
you're obviously not going to re-sign him, right? So just wear the tread off the tires. It's just what I'm getting at. They're not going to be. This isn't like the Titans making a commitment to Derrick Henry. And sometimes if you feel like you've worn him out a little bit the week before, you only go 15 carries. You're not re-signing Robinson. Wear the tread off the tires.
Yeah, and I thought Lawrence played well last night for the most part, made a couple mistakes, but I think he's coming along. But the defense is what frustrated me, the 8 to 10 yard cushions because you're scared to give up the big play. Well, then all you're doing is giving up these underneath screen passes. And, the tight end for Cincinnati, I'm not even going to try to pronounce his name, but made him look like the next.
It's pronounced CJ.
Yes, exactly. made him look like a Hall of Famer last night. I know he's a good player anyway, so he probably doesn't need any help, but that Cincinnati offense, once they get going, they're pretty potent. So I just defense, everything was great for that first half, but like you said, you get stuffed at the line. The kind of the whole trajectory of the game changed after that, and then Cincinnati came right out of the locker room, shoved it right down the Jaguars' throats, and got a touchdown. And Jacksonville did respond. When they went up 21-14, felt good about that. And then McPherson, which is funny because McPherson catches heat from Florida fans because it felt like he missed every super important kick that he tried. He missed the one against LSU. He missed another game winner a couple of years ago. Missed an extra point against Kentucky a few years ago in that one loss we had against them that kind of cost us. But now he's in the NFL. He's already hit 2 game winners in 4 weeks. So we kind of wonder where that was last year, but that's okay.
I think they're eventually going to have to move on from DJ Chark with this injury.
Oh yeah, even before the injury, he's there. He's a guy who's going to want too much money, I think, for the Jags to.
And he's really never performed up to the
Right.
level since 2019.
Right. He's a good, not great guy.
Yeah, he's a very good receiver. I think he's a number 2 on most teams.
Right.
We've kind of forced him as a number 1. They're still going to have to go out and get a number 1. Chenault and Jones obviously are not number 1s, but they're guys that you can have a pretty good receiving core if you have a DJ Chark.
Yeah.
But now that they don't have them, it's going to get a little hairy, as it's going to be really difficult to move the ball even more so, because now you're going to see all these. How many bubble screens did we have to watch last night? That I was just like, man, this is like watching college football. I liked the atmosphere. That felt like college football, but then you watch the play calling, you're like, good God, do we not trust him at all to throw down the field at all? I mean, I kept seeing it. It was like a 3 to 5 yard pattern, no matter what they were trying to do, and hoping to create in space. That's not how you move the ball in the National Football League. But what was ironic, the play that put the game away was essentially a bubble screen to the tight end that just broke free because there was a jailbreak, and if people missed the game, the Jaguars blitzed at the very wrong time.
Right.
And it made it a very simple play for Cincinnati to get in field goal position, and he almost had a third touchdown. And what about your boy from the University of Florida coming through with 2 kicks already in 4 games in his NFL season at the buzzer?
Yeah, and which is, like I was saying, it's different for us to watch because it felt like he missed. If he had 3 game winners at Florida, it felt like he missed them all. So now he's in the pros, and for whatever reason, he's automatic almost. But he missed one early in the game that was a pretty easy one, but he hit one when it matters. So. But yeah, McPherson's, I guess, the kickers are funky. You can have a couple good years, and all of a sudden you turn into Josh Lambo and you can't hit anything. The UCF kicker did pretty well for Jacksonville last night, and of course they didn't let him try the one before a half. But it was funny. He tried his first extra point, and I'm like, man, it might need some wind to get that extra point there. I wasn't quite sure if it had the distance or not, but maybe that was a little bit of nerves on his first kick. But the Jags played Tennessee.
He's money though. I'll tell you what, when he gets to that final gun, and he is splitting the uprights.
Oh, yeah.
They were no doubters.
Yeah. But Jaguars play the Titans, I think, next Sunday at home. So.
Yes, here in we were originally supposed to go to that game. The game was supposed to be played in December, and I don't know why, but it got flip-flopped. I don't know if Jacksonville had to do it or if Tennessee had to do it, but the home site was flip-flopped. It was supposed to be played on December 12th or somewhere in that vicinity, whatever that Sunday was, and we were planning on going to the game. We were going to get free tickets from my wife's work, and we're gonna have a good time. Next thing I know, I looked at it like about a week or so before kickoff, and I called her at work and said, did you know this game was not being played in December anymore? And we thought maybe we'd misread it, but then I went back and actually saw a publication that was printed out that had Jacksonville playing. Originally this game was supposed to be in Nashville coming next week.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know what they flip. I'm assuming one of them. If I was to guess, I'd say Nashville has some kind of festival that they forgot about, and they're not going to be able to house it all. That would be my guess. Either that, or by the time the game is supposed to happen in December, Jacksonville is planning on being in moved into their new stadium in London, and we're it's never going to happen, man. You're gonna have to play now. So,
exactly.
Let's go and switch gears to college football. The Gators are taking on the Kentucky Wildcats. It's going to be in Lexington. What is it? It's a 6:00 Eastern kickoff, I believe.
Right.
A really big day for ESPN with SEC football. They start off with the Georgia-Arkansas game at noon, and then Florida's at 6, and then LSU-Auburn's at 9. I like when they do those double headers on ESPN as opposed to wait till the 7:30 kickoff, and then their second part of their doubleheader, Stanford versus School of the Blind or whatever. And so I like when they do these double headers and the second one is in Louisiana. I love that.
Yeah, it'll be fun. Kind of wish our game was like at 5, just because there's no way that game's going to fit in a 3-hour window. So Auburn LSU will start on ESPN Quattro or whatever.
Exactly.
We'll go from there. But, yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, Florida, Kentucky up in Lexington. I don't know. It's funny, for the last 8 months, I felt like a lot of the Southern media has really been all over Kentucky, and then the last 3 weeks they're like, well, Kentucky stinks, and they're kind of playing down to their competition so far. So we'll kind of see what they have Saturday night. I think Florida will go up there and win. We tend to play like crap up there and fall behind, which is definitely.
I think it's going to be a tough game.
I do too. I think we'll go up there and win. I've got us 30.
I'll make my prediction tomorrow, but I wouldn't just assume that it's a W.
My score is pretty similar to what the Jaguars score was last night. So I do think it'll be close. I think Florida will end up winning. But like I said, Kentucky likes to run the football. You got to stop Kentucky from running. And I really do like Levis. I think he's got a good touch on his passes, especially with deep passes off play action. And that's what Florida's been susceptible with the last few weeks. Well, the last 3 years since Grantham showed up on campus to call the defense. So that's Florida's biggest concern, is to be able to stop the run long enough to make Kentucky one-dimensional, try and jump on them on the road. Kentucky's defense
is there some kind of an injury question mark for either team, because it has been taken off the board out in the desert? So I'm thinking there must be some kind of an injury question mark, because they usually only do that when it's this close to kickoff. It's usually only taken off the board if there's some kind of an injury question.
Yeah, I don't know. We're supposed to. I mean, they've said Richardson's going to be back, but Florida can beat Kentucky without him as long as Jones plays within himself. Right. The big guy to get back is Kyer Elam, the defensive back who didn't play last week against Tennessee, and him not being out there is kind of what was responsible for the 2 blown coverages that led to Tennessee.
Oh, wait a minute! I found it. It's being written down as 3:30 Eastern, but that game's at 6, isn't it?
It is, yeah. But yeah, on the injury front, Florida should be pretty healthy. Getting, like I said, getting Elam back's the big one to help shore up that secondary. But I mean, Kentucky's got enough playmakers. I think Wan'Dale Robinson's really good as an all-purpose guy. He's one of the best in the SEC, and since he plays at Kentucky, he kind of flies under the radar. I mentioned Levis, and then Chris Rodriguez is a pretty good running back too. So, like I said, just stop Kentucky's run and make them one-dimensional. But for Florida on offense, got to get that run game going too. Florida can't sit there and make Emory throw it 35 times and win this game either. So I do think it'll be a close game in the fourth quarter, just like you do.
Yeah, I just go off of the history of this series,
right?
And when it's in Lexington, it's usually a close game. And then of course a night game I think adds to it.
Yeah, there's something in stone where this game, whenever we go up there, has to be at night, which I kind of like, because it's hopefully the guys play well in front of that atmosphere that they've really built up in Kentucky over the last 10, 15 years. It used to be, the only problem Florida had playing up there back in the day was that this game used to be in November, and we'd go up there, and this is all before 90, I think in 92, 93 is actually 93 for sure is when we started playing them in September. But back in the before my time, but also in the 80s and early 90s, Florida would go up there, when it's about 20 degrees outside, there's no grass on the field, and just kind of slopping around after winning or losing the Georgia game the week before. So that part is really the move to September is really what made this streak what it is, 33 out of 34, because that game was it felt like the game was harder in November, even with less atmosphere, when it was that cold outside.
Yeah, I remember in the 80s when, look, Kentucky's never been any good at football, but I remember in the 80s when Florida would struggle into the 90s because the game was always right after Georgia. And I can remember as a kid growing up, and I would see the docket. My dad would remind me every year, because I would look and go, they're playing Kentucky this year. And you're a kid, you only look at the very big teams, and if you're not seeing a very big team playing one of your rivals, then you scoff at it. And he would always remind me, because this is a very difficult game because it's right after Georgia, and it's all about emotions.
Yeah.
And sure enough, and then of course Georgia always has had I've always felt like that they've had an unfair road, because right after Florida they play Auburn,
Right.
and Auburn is never a pushover and usually very competitive. So it's
yeah, we used to. It's funny, Florida and Georgia, we would have Auburn, Georgia, Kentucky, and they would have Kentucky, us, and then Auburn. So just
right.
The same three, just like mixed around or whatever. But,
Right.
But yeah, to your point though, for tomorrow on as a full day, it'll be a fun day in the SEC. Every game just about's a good one. Plus,
this is by far the best Saturday in college football, just across the board.
Plus, you got to mention UConn and Vanderbilt, which
that's a big one.
Yeah, so set your DVRs now for that one.
I don't even know if a DVR can record that. I think you might have to go back to Betamax. What is your walk-off for the day, sir?
I'm really just looking forward to the weekend of football. Really, I should be on with you guys tomorrow morning. We'll chat about a bunch of games, and
forward to that.
Florida did beat Tennessee last week. I guess I'll throw that in since I see Justin's in the waiting room. I do think Tennessee's getting better. They definitely look better coached.
They did. I thought they looked really good first half.
I think next year's game will be back to where there's a ton of hype next year being up in Knoxville, and we'll see what both teams have coming back. They do need to find a quarterback up there, like long-term one, not just bring in a transfer every single year. So we'll see. But I think Heupel's got them in the right direction.
I've got about three quarterbacks I would give them right now.
I know.
All right, brother. We'll see you tomorrow morning for Dixie Football Nation. We'll be starting that about this time.
All right, boys. Take care. Have a good one.
Yes, sir. We'll be back in a flash here as we enter in Tony and Joey's on the way.
Bills have to have the best fan base in the NFL. Here, Brandon Sheriff runs into the wall, trips over the box. The cameraman's going crazy. And then some Bills fan drops him a free beer to help him feel better. What a nice guy.
So apparently it is extremely rude that when you first start talking to somebody, you touch their forehead and say skip intro.
Brady is an alien.
Looking at this 2005 roster puts the whole Tom Brady thing in perspective. He's been good for way too long. Okay, so in 2005, he's rated a 95. Hi, Brady. And look who's his backup. Cliff Kingsbury, coaching the Cardinals now. Vrabel coached against him in the playoffs. Rodney Harrison's on TV. Bro, Asante Samuel was only 1 year in. His son's in the league now. Son. Breeze backing up Phillips. Hello, Peyton. Romo's now calling games, but he was only 1 year in back then. His coordinator was only 1 year in back then. What's up, Byron? Doug Peterson coached against him in the freaking Super Bowl. Emmett was in the league. What's up, Randy? He on TV now. Bro, his son's in the league too. Bro, I forgot Keyshawn played for the Cowboys at one point. This is insane. Brady, you're crazy.
Armchair.
We have been hoodwinked, bamboozled, and flat out deceived.
There's something kind of about a kid that's never played baseball.
But what the hell, boy?
Make sure to listen to the Armchair Quarterbacks. Good enough for us down here in the bayou. Go Tigers and the Armchair Quarterbacks.
Good morning.
Armchair.
YouTube Live.
CBS Sports
Radio Station.
The radio station you can call your own. Do you know what listeners like about our station? It's everything.
I like everything. It's always on my radio.
We never stop the music, except for now, when I talk.
Good morning. It's time to wake up, y'all. You're listening to the Armchair Quarterback Show. We're here weekdays on CBS Radio, YouTube Live, the Armchair Quarterback Show, your first choice for Southern sports talk. Good morning, Mr. Justin Waller.
Good morning. I don't know much, but I know one thing. Urban Meyer is about to surpass his college loss totals. Look out.
Hi, I'm Mac McGee, and I don't know much, but I know one thing. The Atlanta Braves are National League East champions once again. Take that, New York media. Take that, Philadelphia media. Take that, national media. Not only did they not give us a chance when we were healthy at the beginning of the year, they gave us zero chance right after the trading deadline. You're listening to the Armchair Quarterbacks.
Armchair.
Community Access Channel.
He's the armchair quarterback. He's full of beer and he's full of snacks. The all-American man with a cool one in his head. Yeah, the armchair.
Hey, howdy, hi. Top of the morning to you. Welcome to the Armchair Quarterback Radio Show. I'm Mac McGee. Sitting alongside Justin Waller and Joey Ariola. Joey, how the hell are you this morning, sir?
This Friday morning. How we doing for you, my man?
I'm much better now that the Braves are headed to the postseason. Justin, how are you?
Doing great. Enjoying the same excitement of last night's clinch. And, looking forward to hopefully we can get past the championship game. We got to get past the first round. But, you got to eventually meet and run into the Dodgers and figure out a way to get past that.
For the first time in I don't know how long, it was a clean inning in the ninth. There was no butt puckering or anything, man. We're like just rolling right through it. I will say one thing, doing these games live has helped with my nerves because you're just in the moment and you're doing it and you don't have enough time to look for the remote and smash it up against the wall and stick your elbow through the the other wall and stick your foot into a toaster as you kick it across the room. You just get involved in the game, and we have essentially 1 week until we play another meaningful game. We'll host the Mets this weekend. You just don't want to get anyone to get injured, keep them sharp. And then, of course, we will play. It looks like it'll be Friday, and I'm guessing Friday afternoon against the Milwaukee Brewers, who, oh, by the way, they have lost their one of the more important players on their team is done for the season. He broke his hand. Devin Williams broke his hand in a celebration the other night, drinking and partying, and broke his hand. So it all comes full circle. Because just if you'll remember, Wasker Inoa broke his hand in Milwaukee against the Brewers when he had a bad outing. So what goes around comes around, I guess. Not that the Brewers have anything to do with Wasker Inoa, just as dumb as Devin Williams, but I'll take it. I think it gives the Braves now a fighting chance of winning that series, because if you don't have Williams to lean on, that means that Hader might have to come out and pitch 2 innings. You might have to pick and choose when you're going to do that in a 5-game series. So, but still a lot of baseball to absorb this weekend. I'm going to be fully invested in watching this AL wildcard race, because holy crap, is it coming down. You've got the Yankees. For people who haven't paid attention to this, the Yankees won last night in Toronto, so they have a 2-game lead over Boston, and Seattle gains a half game because of Boston loses 2 of 3 to Baltimore down the stretch. I mean, they can't get out of their own way. So they're heading to Washington for 3. And I'm sorry, but I was texting to Timus. We did the show on Monday, and I told him I thought that the bare minimum they had to win 4 games. And so yesterday I was like, man, if they don't win tonight, they may not make it. Because I don't believe Boston's going to win 3 in Washington. Now, maybe they will. And I've been pulling for it because, I want to see Boston Yankees in a 1-game play-in, but I just and Seattle's at home and they're against the Angels. That team's just as bad as anything else. And Ohtani's being a coward and he's not going to pitch on Sunday. Why? Because he wants to win the MVP. And if anyone remembers last Sunday, Seattle bombed Ohtani. And that's who he'd be going up against again. And I don't think they want to see him have 2 bad outings in a row. I'll give the floor to Justin. What say you?
Well, I mean, I see where you're going with that down the stretch, Boston. See, I'm with you. I still want to see the one game play in Yankees Red Sox. It's what we've been yearning for, to get rid of this stupid one card play-in game. You would at least make a series out of it. I mean, it's still asinine that you play series in baseball all season long, and then you get to the playoffs and you say, okay, we're going to have a play-in series. No. We're going to go to a just heads-up game. That's not baseball. That's not the game you play all season long. I've never understood it, and I think you need those two big names in there. You need a Red Sox-Yankees matchup, one game, one all on the line, and I don't know which way you need it to tip, which fan base will actually get it pulled off to eliminate and make it a 3-game series, but whichever one that is, that's the one I need to lose.
Either one, it doesn't matter, because all they're going to look at is, man, those are great television rings. Can you imagine if we had 3 of those, right? And so,
I mean, baseball's just never been all or nothing. I have a huge problem with that one. I can't get past it. It irks me. I'll digress and move on.
Joey, what say you? What are you looking forward to this weekend? Because it's pretty much the AL wild card, and then of course you also have Giants and Dodgers, but the Giants have a chance to wrap this up before we get to Sunday. Now, for people who haven't paid attention, on Sunday, because they want everyone on their phones and any other device, every game is starting off at the 3:00 hour in Major League Baseball. So there will be no scoreboard watching going, and they've done this for several years. I think it's a brilliant idea, but there will be no scoreboard watching when you are starting your game at 4:00 and the 1:00 games are coming to the end. You're like, why should I even try? Or, all that stuff. So they all begin around the same time. What say you?
Yeah, I mean, this is a great time of year for baseball. I love what's absolutely going to be going on down the stretch here into October. That being said, if I had to pick between these series, I do hope Red Sox and Yankees end up playing in that 1-game playoff. Like Justin said, you always prefer, in baseball, 2 out of 3 at least would be the preference there. But hey, to get one of these 2 bombshells out of the way early would be quite fun. And the Seattle Mariners, talk about a sneaky team that not a lot of people know about. What an exciting story that is. So I'm looking forward to it. If I had to pick in the AL, I'm a Blue Jays guy, so I hope they find their way in there in Seattle. And then I hope Boston somehow find its way out. I hope they go on a losing streak this weekend and somehow they slumber out of the wild card.
I don't know if it's going to be much of a losing streak there. I like I said, if they lose a game this weekend, I think they might be eliminated.
That's fine with me.
I really, it's not that I'm pulling for either fan base of New York or Boston. We just want to see the collision course Tuesday night, Yankees, Red Sox. How fun will that be? If you want to have a lot of fun, if that happens, Timus plans on doing the game with me on YouTube and to try to see if Timus can actually broadcast and not just be a fan in the middle of this mayhem will be very, very interesting. Anyways, let's go ahead and move on to football as we always do. I didn't put my old. I got too much stuff going on here. All right, let me go ahead and get rid of the docket from last night.
Hey, you're still enjoying that. You're coming off that Braves high right now. That's okay, my man.
Well, no, I have my notes from last night from him.
I know.
Like, what am I looking at here? I'm like, where the oh, that's right. I put it on 2 separate pads so I wouldn't get them confused, and I still confused myself. So let's go ahead and start this off, and we'll go ahead and start with our locks. And then we'll kind of dive into a 6-pack here. I don't want to run out of time, so I want to go ahead and do our locks first. Joey, let's start with you this week. Where are you going on your locks for college football this week? And give me 1 game.
I'm going to end up choosing. I was between 2. I'm going with Ole Miss plus. I have it at 14.5 right now. Is that what you have it at?
Yeah.
Yeah, as long as that hook stays on there at 14.5, I really like that. That's a lot of points. I know Alabama's a phenomenal team, but I really think Lane Kiffin's going to have the boys to play this week. And I think sometimes Even as weird as he could be, he gets in maybe with Saban's head a little bit here, and they have a good, tough game. So Ole Miss, I'm going to take as my lock of the weekend.
All right, and Jess, I'm pretty sure I know where you're going, so I'll go ahead and give the floor to you because I'm pretty sure I know. I might be wrong, but you and I
You're calling the Hogs, baby.
So they're getting 17.5 is what it was last time. Let me make sure that thing hasn't moved. It's a noon kickoff in Athens. No, it's down to 17, but still, doesn't that seem ridiculous?
I locked in at 18.5 earlier this week. I love it. I'll take the 17 too and still lock in. I'm telling you, they're going to flirt. And if it's still plus 700 on the money line, I'd say you throw you a little if you've just got some spending cash, because I expect Arkansas can go in there and give it a game. Now, whether they pull it off, there's going to have to be you're going to need some turnovers and some events, but that football,
they're going to have a hard time moving the ball. Sure. Yeah.
They can hang. If they get that line going in that running game, Arkansas can hang with Georgia all day long.
I think it's going to be a good slobber knocker. It also shocks me that it's 48.5 is the over under. And I know that's not a lot of points in college football, but I just feel like this is going to be one of those, it's 7-3 at the half kind of games. Neither offense has really shown up and done big things against real defenses. And I'm a little surprised that line is 17. When you sent me that text earlier in the week, I locked into it 18.5. I was like, I can't believe that the line is this high. I hadn't even looked at the line.
Pittman comes from Georgia. I mean, he has a lot of coaching. I mean, he's stacked up against that defense every day in practice for the past better portion of a decade. I mean, he knows this system inside and out. I think that's where the 18.5 just kind of blew me away. I mean, I get that, they should be an underdog and Georgia's going to be favored at home, but that's a little bit out there for me. And that's why it's my lock of the week.
Yeah. I just have a hard time believing that there's going to be this groundswell for Georgia to just blow them out of the water. It's shocking to me because it's an SEC team that they're playing. If this was a team from, we'll say the Pac-12, Big 12, or Power 5 or what have you, and they had started off on a hot roll, and now the perception is, well, now we'll see what they can do against the big boys. I get it. But it's not like Arkansas hasn't played anybody in the SEC yet, and they pounded Texas. They took care of A&M. It's what I thought all year long going into the preseason when I saw some people picking A&M to possibly win the West. I was like, problem is that there's not gonna be able to move the ball. And so, which is ironic because that's where I'm going for. I'm torn on 2 games, so I'll end up picking one today and one tomorrow. With all the ones that have already been taken. I'm going to go with Texas A&M -7 at home against Mississippi State. I don't think Mississippi State's any good. And I don't think they'll score many points against Texas A&M. And I think they'll find a way to beat them by a couple of scores, and all will be right back in College Station. Not that that's going to be a big win, but the Leach experiment has not worked one bit.
No, I was flabbergasted in the Memphis game. That Memphis Mississippi State exposed Leach's system. I mean, that should not happen.
Are you not surprised that A&M being at home, coming off of a loss, is not a bigger favorite? Because that's still a really good defense.
It is a really good defense, but the struggles on offense. And I guess that's the reason is they figure, Leach is going to bring some sort of offense, and we've just seen none out of A&M. I mean, it's been atrocious.
Well, here's the question I have. And this is just the realistic part of it when you see the team totals, which is why I always like this site that I go to. You see the team totals, you see the total. And what it's being projected out is around a Texas A&M 27-20 win, right? Mississippi State's going to score 20 points or more against A&M. I just don't know if that's going to happen. I get it that they like to throw the ball around. That just means that they have to punt quicker, right? So, I'd be really tempted to take Mississippi State on the under on that number, because I think if they get 14, 17 points, it's a phenomenal game by Mississippi State. That one just kind of, I'm just a little surprised. Maybe I'm in the minority on that. I'm just surprised that folks, when you're telling me that Arkansas is being projected of scoring, was it 13.5 points tomorrow? I believe. Yeah. 14 points tomorrow. And that they have more faith that Arkansas, that the Mississippi State's going to score more points against A&M. I just have a hard time believing that.
Yeah, so do I, honestly. I mean, want to talk about loaded, though. I just keep going through this schedule. And what I think this is like the first loaded college football schedule we have of the weekend. I think there's some funky spreads that can be a little bit
lower. About loaded. Let me tell you about my uncle. No, wait a minute. What?
I mean, just so many games. I mean, even tonight you got some Big Ten action with Iowa, Maryland, and BYU, Utah State. But tomorrow we all know the big ones. We mentioned a couple of them. But even Florida, UK, my Notre Dame, Cincinnati, it's just a loaded schedule outside of the SEC land even.
Well, let's go ahead and Justin, I'm anxious to hear what your six-pack will bring us today. And your 3 picks, I'll do 3. And if Joey, if you see some picks that you want to scour over the weekend, and these aren't our locks, but we just like to get your whistle wet to see what things are going on. So Justin, let me get yours.
Well, I'm going to start out if my app would pull up. I've got my lock there, and I'm going completely separate with the rest of them here. First one I know off the top of my head is going to be, this one's a shocker. I don't normally do this, but I'm going to take an under, and I'm going to go Mississippi at Alabama. It's risen up to 79. Do you have 79? Has it cracked 80 this morning?
See, what time is that game? 3:30?
I see 79.
Yes. Okay. I'm going to take under 79. I was hoping it'd climb to 80. I think this flirts with the 70s all day long, but
it's a 2:30 game too, by the way. 3:30 for you guys. Sorry.
Yeah, no one of importance lives in your time zone. It's always Eastern time. It's always Eastern time in radio. It's always Eastern time in radio, man.
3:30.
Why do I not have this line? Did it? Oh, okay. I see it. Yeah, it's 79.
I'll take the under. That's my first. We're going back and forth. Do you want to spread it around, or you want all of them?
Go ahead and do yours.
All right. I hope I'm not stepping on your toes here, but I like this game a lot. This might be our double up. I like Boston College plus 14.5. I know they're going into Clemson, but Clemson didn't show me they're going to boat race anybody by 2 touchdowns when you struggle and go to the last possession against Georgia Tech. Sorry.
I've been calling this game to be an upset since back in June. I think that Boston College has a very good chance of going in there, and you're going to give them 14 points. I mean, that's kind of ridiculous. I'm with you. What did we see last week that tells us that they're going to have any shot of doing that? What time is that game? Is it a
in your world 7:30?
Oh, okay. It's a night game. Okay. Maybe that's got something to do with it because it's in Clemson. So maybe they're thinking that, okay, it is back to 14.5. But still, I mean, what is Ugalele? Look, I knew what he was doing, but he didn't call him out, but he called him out by not calling him out. Right after Clemson lost, Danny Cannell's tweet was, have any of these NIL deals actually paid off for any of the sponsors? Because remember, Ugalele signed some big deal with, it was, I think it was Bojangles or somebody. And anyways, I bet they're regretting that. They're like, man, really? We put our money up on that guy. I know Young from Alabama is undefeated. He hasn't looked the best, but he's, okay. But I thought that was a really funny tweet.
My last one's probably going to be a head scratcher for you, but I like it. They're the only one in the Big 12 that has a winning streak against them, and I'm going to pick Kansas State plus 11.5. It's in Manhattan. Oklahoma's on the road, and they have not been the dominant offense, and Kansas State has had their number. That is a good little rivalry there, and I think I don't know that they get the win at home, but they'll definitely keep it a 1-score game. I'm going to take Kansas State plus 11.5.
All right. So some games that I'm looking at, I like Rutgers plus 15. They're playing Ohio State, and I believe that game is in New Jersey. I can't find it right now, but yes, it's in New Jersey. Rutgers gave Michigan all they wanted. I'll tell you what else I'm interested about this game is it's going to be a good litmus test to find out what that Ohio State Michigan game is going to be, because now Michigan is what are they, a 2-point underdog at Wisconsin. I'm steering away from that because I know Michigan in theory should win that game going away, but Wisconsin has handled them on the line for years. I'm not saying they can't flip the script, but I've got to see it to believe it. I know a lot of people are jumping on the Michigan money. Like, oh, why is Michigan underdog? They're underdog because have you ever watched this series? They can just they end up just being just roadkill in the middle of the game. I'll throw another one out at you that I kind of like. I like the Vols plus 3 at Missouri. I don't think Missouri's all that in a bag of chips, and I was impressed with what Tennessee did in the first half against Florida. And I know Missouri's a weird place to play, and most people would say steer clear of the game, but giving me 3, what I'm hoping is that by kickoff it goes to 3.5. That's what I'm hoping for. So I'm kind of laying low on it, but I am got my eye on that, and I'll throw one more out there. I see the Ole Miss has already been taken, Boston College has already been taken, Arkansas has already been taken. I'm really starting to feel Kentucky +8. I think Kentucky +8 I
agree.
I want to see it go up a little more. It was at 8.5, and I thought it was going to go up. I'm waiting for tomorrow for the Gator money to come flying in and it get to like around 9 or so, and then I'll feel really good about it. I don't think it's going to go down. I'd be shocked. So I think Kentucky's got a decent chance of beating Florida. It's showing 3:30 on my docket, but Tony and I talked about this first part of the show. It's a 6 p.m. Eastern kickoff. So
it's in Lexington, correct?
Correct. So it's going to be under the lights before it's all said and done. And Florida does not play well up there. And so we'll see what happens. Florida, I know they look good against Alabama, but Kentucky is it's one of those weird games. And we'll see what happens. Joey, are there any other games that you like?
Yeah, a couple other ones not mentioned yet. I actually like Auburn +3 at LSU is one of my games. And then obviously I got to take Notre Dame, my homer pick. They're getting a couple of points at home against Cincinnati. That's going to be a good 7 versus 9 battle. And then the third game, if I had to pick, I would take Penn State -12.5 home against Indiana. I don't think Indiana shows up in that one, and Penn State handles them pretty decently. So that would be my 3 games.
So I know why you got the homer pick with Notre Dame and Penn State. What's your link to Auburn? Anything?
I don't got a link. There's no link. I just don't like LSU.
Common enemies. War Eagle, baby.
I thought you were going to tell.
My dad went there.
Well, my boss is listening, and he graduated from Auburn. So
he's in the office next to me. Come on.
He's doing it. My brother's staring at me, so I got to take those 2 games.
Homer City, sorry.
We're about to head to break. Justin, I know you got to get going. What is your walk-off for the day, sir?
It's number 4, gentlemen. Bobby Cox better look out. We're a decade away from breaking the streak. Go Braves.
Oh, man, I can't wait. Cannot wait till next week. And look, Monday, when we talk on Monday, there's a good chance we're going to have at least one play-in game, especially in the American League. We might get Dodgers-Giants play-in game for the division and an AL wildcard.
If you could get Giants-Dodgers play-in game and Red Sox-Yankees play-in game, that's what we've been waiting on, buddy.
Yes,
you couldn't have a better scenario.
Right. I believe the Yankees will have it wrapped up because I think their magic numbers down to just 1 or 2, I believe. So, they got a 2-game lead going into the weekend. But we might get a scenario where you get Red Sox and Mariners to decide who goes to the playing game the next day, and you could get Dodgers Giants, play-in to decide who doesn't have to go and play the play-in game. So Tuesday is American League, Wednesday is National League, Thursday you begin the American League side of it, and then Friday it's going to be 4 games, a quadruple header. National League gets going, and the American League will have a second game, which is why the Braves and Brewers will end up as like a 2:00 kick first pitch, because they're gonna put the AL East on at prime time. They're gonna put the Dodgers and Giants, assuming they end up playing each other, as the nightcap, and White Sox and Astros will get like the late afternoon tilt. So Milwaukee and Atlanta, you better start practicing going to bed really early, because you're going to get a first pitch around 1 or 2 o'clock Eastern time.
You still have our season predictions jotted down somewhere in that office?
Yeah, I do.
We need to discuss those next week. Let's see where we're at, if we still have a chance or not.
Fair enough. All right, brother. We'll see you Monday.
Y'all have a great weekend. Be safe, everyone.
Have a good one, Justin.
We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to be talking the National Football League. We'll give you a 6-pack for the National Football League. Keep it locked in here to the Armchair Quarterbacks on CBS Radio and YouTube Live.
You come at the King, you best not miss.
Get your Sunday football morning started off right with the Handicappers on Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube, 10 a.m. Eastern to noon Eastern. Your Sunday morning kickoff show where we tackle your NFL lines out in the desert, a 61.2% win rate over the last 6 years. Against the spread, over, under, money line, you name it. And we dive into the world of fantasy football year long and your DFS payouts. Your only true Southern football kickoff show that talks the spreads in Vegas, your DFS and fantasy, in your year-long quest to win that fantasy football championship. Only on the Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube channel. It's the Handicappers on Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube, 10 a.m. Eastern to noon Eastern. Sundays, all NFL season long.
I might audible. If I audible, I'll use
Omaha! Red Polly! Blue Poncho! Dilly! Rambo! Give me Kershaw here, Kershaw!
You're listening to the Armchair Quarterbacks.
Chop, Japan! Richmond, New York! Richmond, Florida! Cali, Buffalo! Check! Hey, Short Ox! Luda Raiders! Omaha! Time out!
And then a lot of states ended up having gay marriage and common law marriage, which I think is very confusing, because what happens if you just end up with like 2 loser dudes sharing the same crappy apartment for a couple years? It's been known to happen. Both working part-time at the pizza place, hanging out every weekend. A few years goes by, boom, they're married. See them at a party, they're newlyweds. I didn't know Tony and Jim were gay. They're married now? When did they fall in love? They didn't. They just never got full-time jobs.
Take me out to the ball game.
Get caught up with the big stories from around the world in sports in just a few minutes. It's Take Me Out to the Ball Game today, weekdays. Armchair Quarterbacks on YouTube. Baseball, football, basketball, whatever's trending in the world of sports, it's on Take Me Out to the Ball Game today in just a few minutes. It drops weekdays. Take Me Out to the Ball Game today on the Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube channel.
Take me out to the ball game.
This portion of the show is being brought to you by The Best Things in Life, which are still free with minimum purchase at participating dealers.
Saturday mornings, 8:30 Eastern. Dixie Football Nation is back and better than ever. We've got Tony Agolini, Matt Carr, Tones Areola, Bobby and Angelo, along with Mac McGee this fall. Dixie Football Nation heads to the gridiron, talking ACC, SEC, the Big Ten, and all the big games throughout the college football land. That's Dixie Football Nation, 8:30 Eastern, 7:30 Central, Saturday mornings on the Armchair Quarterback Show's YouTube channel, going live. Or catch the instant replay. morning. Welcome back here. CBS Sports Radio. YouTube Live. Going live, and by the way, programming note, we'll be going 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. As it's a long story, but I made a commitment to the guy that kind of runs the deal. And so Friday, Saturday, and Sundays, Friday, Saturdays, and Mondays, it'll be a 2-hour show. And so we talked last night, and anyways, there's an opportunity there. And then, of course, we'll have the 2-hour show on Sundays. We just don't start it at 8 a.m. because, oh, my God, we need a life. And so we're going to start it at 10 a.m. to noon. I, for one, am excited about this weekend. We just talked about the college football weekend. I haven't looked at the entire landscape, but to date, this is by far the biggest college football weekend. If you're not fired up for tomorrow, then you're not a college football fan. And that's another reason why I'm so glad Atlanta clinched, that I can just focus on college football. I am going to be paying attention to that AL wildcard race, because how can you not? It's a lot of fun. And if something happens with the Giants and Dodgers, I'll definitely dial in over there. I make no bones about it. They're my West Coast team. I pull for the Giants, but I'm not an avid fan because the games start at 10 o'clock at night. And what do you think? I'm going to watch every one of those games all year long? So I'm watching the scoreboard and pulling, and I really want the Dodgers to get in that play-in game that they just announced, Joey, last night, that Adam Wainwright will go for St. Louis.
Wow.
And I think that gives them a chance. I know everyone would say Flaherty's their horse, etc., but dude, Adam Wainwright is pitched out of his mind. And he's an old Grizzly veteran. He's pushed the sun back up one more year. It's very Charlie Morton like, right? And so you got to pull for the old man.
It's amazing he's still doing it at this point in his career. I mean, I've watched him for years. He went from starter to closer, back to starter. I mean, talk about a phenomenal career for Mr. Adam Wainwright to be starting this Game 1 playoff.
And unless there is some kind of unless there ends up being a playing game on Monday, it should be Scherzer versus Wainwright. And oh, how I would love it as a Braves fan to see the Dodgers not just lose, but lose with Scherzer on the hill. So I'm pulling for that in a big way. Depending on how my schedule goes, I might be doing those games. I just haven't seen. I'm starting a new gig, so I don't know what my schedule is going to be. I haven't gotten all the details on that. But I'm going to try to do as much baseball content as I can this October, as we've gotten a lot of good responses. People seem to enjoy it. Nice messages. Some people sending us stuff like that they enjoy it more than they enjoy the actual baseball radio broadcasts that they have access to for their team. So that definitely makes you feel better when you see stuff like that and hear stuff like that. So I'll have that more updated when we get the playoff scenarios going on Monday, when we come back to the show on Monday. But we are going to try to do as much as possible. And the Braves will take precedence. If the Braves are playing, that's the game we're doing. Don't at me with, why are you not doing the Astros game?
They might start banging on garbage cans. Be careful.
Man, I'll do as much as I can, but it's got to be within reason. So I can't do double duty. And none of the other guys have any experience doing the play-by-play either. So I can't just say, well, you just do this one live and I'll do that one live. That might be something coming down the road after we get everyone's feet wet, but we'll address that in future seasons. Let's talk some National Football League, baby.
Let's go. It's Friday.
First of all, did you watch the game last night?
Yeah, and talk about Jaguars just right off the bat, 14-0. It looked like it was actually a well-oiled machine by Jacksonville in that.
Am I crazy? Why did they not kick that field goal at the end of the second quarter to go 17-0?
I could not agree with you more. First off, you're not crazy. Otherwise, we both are. It's either one or the other. But at the end of the second quarter, but you take the points all day in that situation. I was leaving to go, back and forth between the channel. I came back and I'm like, where the heck is the extra 3 points at least? And that came back to bite them. The final score is 24 or what was it? Yeah, 24-21. So I didn't understand that call. And after the second half was all Cincinnati. So
we've got by the way, I didn't see this and I do apologize. Iden, as a trade question in fantasy football, should I trade Lockett for either Hopkins or Diggs? Absolutely. If you can get D Hop or Stephon Diggs, I would absolutely do that, because Lockett is not going to be doing this on a regular basis. Remember something. First of all, when we get deeper into the season, no matter what they look like now, Pete Carroll always wants to run the ball. He always does. So you'll see games where you're like, my God, Lockett's killing me. And then the other thing is, man, D-Hop is the best wide receiver in football. No matter how you look at it, talent-wise, he's the best wide receiver in football. And Stephon Diggs, with having Josh Allen there, and they have no running game. No matter what they try to sell you with this Moss thing, Moss is really – just look at the numbers. They have no running game. I think you absolutely trade. I always say trade high, and you think about where you were in the draft, and you're coming back. Think about that. You're coming back to today from when you did in the draft, and if you were sitting there and Lockett was there with Diggs and Hopkins, would you have drafted Lockett? No. So people get caught up in the prisoner of the moment, especially in fantasy football.
And don't be thrown off by Hopkins' couple of points this week. Like you said, he's one of the best talents in the league. You sell on Lockett high, as like you said, and I would do the Hopkins or Diggs, but absolutely, I agree with you.
I'll pull it up in a second. I don't have it in front of me, but look at their playoff scenarios. I'm trying to do it off of my head, and I just probably shouldn't do that, so I'm going to look it up. But look at the scenarios that you have on who they're going to be playing in the playoffs, weeks 15 through 17. And regardless, you're talking about Lockett, who's a 1A, 1B, maybe a 2 on his team. Talent-wise, DK Metcalf's the best receiver on the team. No way are you going to week 15. I'll throw it out at you real quick because I got it in front of me now. Week 15, Seattle. And remember, once again, they're the two. He's essentially the number 2 receiver. They're playing at the Rams. So let's say he blossoms into the number 1. Jalen Ramsey, that's what you're going to get. If you have Buffalo, they're at home against the Panthers, and D-Hop sees where's Arizona. They're playing the Lions in the first round of the playoffs. You serious?
That could be a track fest. That's a track meet for Hopkins.
The next week, the Cardinals at home against the Colts. They should put up some numbers there. And where are the Bills? The Bills are playing the Patriots. That'll be a little tough. So I'm leaning right now D-Hop.
With you on D-Hop right now.
Yeah, I say grab D-Hop. If someone's offering that to you, absolutely do it. It's either a Seattle homer or, by the way, couldn't help but break my heart to watch the Miami Hurricanes miss a field goal at the end of the game, a chip shot to lose the game. How many years I've had to listen to that crap about Florida State? You mean the Hurricanes miss field goals on a regular basis. No one ever brings it up. It banged the upright.
I had a tease on Bengals.
It was an extra point is what it was. It was an extra point. It was that close.
It was so frustrating.
And at the end, I'm watching that. I have it side by side with the NFL game, and all I could think was, dude, they are just conceding that because they played very, very vanilla conservative at the end there. In fact, on the third down, had their quarterback just kind of run to the center and fall down. Like, this is a college football kicker. He's at home.
I had a little action on it with a tease where I just needed Miami straight up to win.
I nailed that. I took a Virginia plus the points yesterday. I felt very good about it. And then once they lined for the field goal, I was like, well, either way, I'm going to win this bet.
It's a win-win.
I did that. And then I got the first half of my teaser right. I just needed Cincinnati to win because I teased it down. And that's going to take now all I need to complete that teaser is I just need the Titans to win. So I got that earlier in the week when they were like 6.5 point favorites, both of them.
And Titans are at the Jets, right?
Yeah. So all they got to do is win. They just find a way to win. And I could see them struggling just because it's the NFL. That's what happens. But I just need a W to be able to clear that. And so yeah. Just absolutely broke my heart to see the Hurricanes lose.
Don't cry.
Sit down and suck with us, man.
Hey, there's nothing better when your team
that Florida State Miami game is going to be on PBS this year. It's going to be nobody's going to watch it.
Get the Nickelodeon slime going for it.
Yeah. Exactly. All right, let's go ahead and get into our 6-pack. If you're still there, buddy, I cannot believe someone would be offering to trade Hopkins or Diggs for Lockett, but jump on it fast. All right. So, and the thing is, we've seen this from Lockett before. That's why a lot of years he is overrated. I mean, the guy had 2 good games, and then what happened against Minnesota? A game you think he exploded? This is a typical Tyler Lockett thing. 4 catches, 31 yards. Really? Against Minnesota? The Vikings? All right, let's go ahead and run to the picks. We'll just go back and forth on this. I'll give you first dibs.
Okay.
And these are not our locks. Our locks we'll do on Sunday, but we're just having fun with this and basically saying games that we kind of like and keep an eye on them. So, what you got for your first one?
My first one, I like Washington football team -1.5 at Atlanta.
I like that one a lot. I really do. Really?
Like, I don't know if I'm missing something. I know the Falcons came off of a win, but it was the Giants, and I just think the Washington football team is going to be fully prepared to win. I could see them winning by double digits, honestly.
Strangely enough, I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. And I think Heineke, look, it's one of those things where I just believe Matty Ice is just past his prime. He's lost it. I don't know if he'll continue to try to play after this year, but I don't think it'll be in Atlanta. I think the Falcons are going to go in another direction at quarterback, most likely through the draft, to try to build around Kyle Pitts. I'm not convinced Kyle Pitts is the bust. I think it might be the fact that he's got a crappy quarterback and not much of a running game. I mean, when Cordero Patterson is being hyped up as the 1A, and people in people in fantasy football is like, man, I'll tell you what, they've got 2 running backs. No, they have none. If Cordero Patterson is one of your running backs in your backfield and you're splitting times with him, then that means your 1A guy, your Mike Davis free agent signing was a terrible signing. That's all you can say. I don't think they're utilizing him because he did a fine job in Carolina. So I don't understand what in the world's going on there, but I do like that play quite a bit. God, you know how tempted I am to take the Bears, but I don't trust their play calling.
Oh, no, God. It's been a brutal week in Chicago. Don't do it.
What is wrong with them? Let Fields play, man. Just let him roll. I'm going to take your Colts +2.
Oh.
You're going to tell me that Miami team is going to muster up. I think it's going to be a low scoring game, both sides. I think it's going to be a slugfest. But give me the Colts +2 in Miami. That thing might come down to a 2-point conversion, but I'm going to hedge and just say that the Colts will get the first win of the year. They don't start 0-4.
Please, I need it, Mac. Please.
Hey, by the way, what's it like down there in the bottom of the division? We wouldn't know nothing about that.
No, ask the Jaguars.
I haven't talked to you since that's just a technicality. Since the game, but man, I'll tell you what, I was impressed with the way the Titans win. I thought the Titans would win, but I thought it was going to be a nail biter. They kind of salted that thing away and never let Indianapolis really in it. I'm very impressed with what they did.
Yeah, we had 3
we saw that garbage in week 1. They've played very good football since.
When you get 3 turnovers and lose as badly as the Colts, I mean, the score was kind of close, but if you actually watch the game, the Titans had pretty much control. Pretty sad for me to get 3 turnovers from the Colts defense and not still come up very close in that game. That was disappointing.
Yeah, and essentially no A.J. Brown in the game. And, of course, Julio got banged up. So that's one of the reasons why I'm steering clear of the Titans game this week, because I think they'll find a way to win, but I think they're going to try to salt it off with some Derrick Henry to try to – they're basically going to try to bleed the clock, right? And I don't have trust that Titans are going to cover that spread, so that's why I'm going there. But I'll take the Colts +2. You took Washington -1. What's your next one?
For my next one, even though they're coming off of a loss, I think the Chiefs got to come out humming eventually this season. They're -7 at Philadelphia. I'm not on, after Philly's bad performance last week, I don't think they step up from that challenge. And I think this is the week the Chiefs finally fully explode and just go ham on someone. So I'm going to take the Chiefs.
I am so tempted to take the Texans. 17 is a lot in the National Football League, but Davis Mills, man, I don't know. That offense looked like garbage. If that's Tyrod Taylor getting 2 touchdowns, which I think he would have, I was all prepared to take Houston. I had this game circled a couple weeks ago because I figured Buffalo was going to be rolling and Houston was going to be Houston. And I was so prepared for Houston to come out and be like a 2-touchdown plus underdog, but I got to steer clear of that. I think I made a comment on the show. I may not have, but I think I made a comment a couple of weeks ago. So that's why I'm steering clear of that, just in case I did make that comment. So at home with that defense, Teddy Bridgewater under center.
Yes.
Give me the Broncos +1.
Yes, do it.
Baltimore, it's a fool's gold, man. They needed a bogus non-call on a delay of game penalty to set them up for a 66-yard field goal to win that game that barely got over that crossbar. So, did you see that they gave Tucker a 99 rating in Madden this week because of it?
No way. God, I don't.
And you know how video games are. He can probably now boot a 71-yarder.
I was going to say 80-yard field goals will now be possible.
Right. It's just stupid. He did it in a dome, and he got the lucky bounce.
And the Ravens, not to keep harping on it, got a lucky penalty call even early. There should have been a delay of game, but that's
right.
a whole other story. But
right.
Yeah,
which has nothing to do with him. But
no, I know.
It should have never happened. It should have never happened. What's your third pick of the 6-pack?
My third pack of the 6-pack is going to be Cowboys -4.5. Probably a lot of people won't like that because the Panthers are 3-0, but I think the Cowboys are humming. I'm very impressed by Michael Parsons and that defense on Dallas. I thought once they lost to Marcus Lawrence for a little bit, things would be a little bit of trouble. But last week, they looked all lights out on Monday Night Football. And the Panthers, they got that ugly win against the Texans, in my opinion. So I'm going to take the Cowboys and give the points and think they win by about 6.
I like that. Looking at the other games, I'll leave the Monday night game for Monday. So I just firmly believe this game means more. And I'm not willing to lay the 7.5. So give me the Patriots at home plus 7.5. This game is going to be a bloodbath. They can say all the niceties they want in the media. And there is a respect from Brady to Belichick, right? That doesn't mean they both don't want to tear each other's eyes out and beat the other to prove who's better. I wouldn't be crazy and think that New England's going to win the game, especially because you're only going to give me plus 250. I think that's absurd. If you take New England on the money line, I think you should be getting more of a value than plus 250 at this point. That should be 300 easy. But I think they find a way to move the ball, keep it a low-scoring game. What I really like in the game, to be honest with you, is the over-under. I like the under at 49. That is not going to be a high-scoring game. I know Tampa Bay's offense has just looked incredible. He hasn't faced Belichick's defense. And if there's one guy that knows how to shut down Tom Brady, it's the guy that coached him. So
it'll be an ugly. I agree. This will be a muck it up type of game in the trenches. I almost feel.
And I don't think New England will score a lot of points.
No.
Mac Jones has shown me nothing that I think they made the right draft call, but he's a rookie, man, and he's learning. And they're going to lean on that defense. They're going to lean on. There's going to be a lot of touches by Damian Harris, you fantasy footballers out there. They're going to try to keep. They're going to try to make that game shorter. I'll tell you something else that came from this game last night that I got to thinking about after all the dust settled and Jaguars lose and blah, blah, blah. It's fun to see Cincinnati 3-1 and have a legitimate shot. I know most likely Cleveland's going to win that division, but I like watching that Cincinnati team, and I hope that Mixon's okay. They'll have a few extra days of rest going into the next week because Pirine, man, you watch him get the ball, that dude just looks sloppy and slow.
Yeah, and I mean,
everyone's going to rush out to the waiver wire, by the way, this week and go, I got to have Pirine. They're going to throw their fab budget at it. If you watch that game, he was getting just. He doesn't have that extra gear that Mixon obviously has.
No, and you know, the Bengals defense actually ranked 8th in total D right now, which I was a little surprised to hear. And then, man, talk about in 2 years where the offense can be with the weapons they got between Joe Burrow, the receivers, and the run game. Like you said, it's a fun team. I don't know how long they're going to keep battling down the stretch, but I mean, I'm going to be rooting for them as well because Pittsburgh, Baltimore, and then what? Cleveland's the tough one right there. I will say that.
By the way, I went out there, man. I got this league where, dude, I'm just a disaster at quarterback, and I think we talked about this league last week on the handicappers. It's the same league I had Daniel Jones in.
Okay.
So I went out and I realized he was on the waiver wire, and I rolled the dice with Joe Burrow. How about 348 yards and 2 touchdowns? How about that? Woo! I'm talking about big timing right there because I need to win desperately in that league. The Joe Mixon, luckily he got in the end zone and still got me 14 points in that league, but he could have had a much bigger day. Hoping it looked like it was some kind of everyone thought it was an ankle injury, but if you notice when Mixon was on the sidelines, he was stretching. It looked like to me he was stretching out his hammy. So I don't know if it was a cramp or if it's an actual hammy injury, but hopefully Mixon will be okay because they played Green Bay a week from Sunday. If there's a game you're going to need Joe Mixon in, it's against Green Bay. You want to keep old. Did you see the report? I know you got to run here in a couple of minutes, and then we're going to do Braves country. But did you see the report coming out about, well, it was more of a speculative, I think it was either Yahoo or Sports Illustrated. I don't remember who wrote it, but they were reading the tea leaves of an Aaron Rodgers podcast or something he was doing with somebody. Anyways, long story short, they're speculating, and it makes sense now. Now it's coming to the forefront because that's their opponent this week. That Aaron Rodgers, when he leaves this year from Green Bay, that Pittsburgh could be the team he wants to go.
Oh,
everyone keeps thinking it's Denver. It could be Pittsburgh.
Now that would be wild.
That's a perfect fit. And one of the reasons why is because he made a comment after the game, or I'm sorry, on the podcast, and said that he loves the way Mike Tomlin coaches his teams, the way he addresses the media after the game. A direct shot at LaFleur, when after that first game, LaFleur said that the team was an embarrassment. And then they asked Rodgers about it. And he said, yeah, well, that's what that guy says. You know what I mean? So that could be some fun stuff. Aaron Rodgers with Deontay Johnson, Claypool, assuming they keep all these guys together. And then, of course, Juju. And then you've got the rookie from Alabama. That could be a fun offense to watch next year.
Yeah, and on top of the defense that when healthy is pretty stout.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
instantly,
man.
everyone in the AFC North is going, oh, are you serious? You're going to go from Big Ben to Roethlisberger. This is the Denver Broncos all over again, where they just all of a sudden picked up Aaron Rodgers, and next thing you know, Peyton Manning. Next thing you know, they're in the Super Bowl. It's just that could be fun. That could be a lot of fun. I know people want to see him go to Denver because Denver's just not as – there's not a franchise anybody hates. I don't know why, but they just don't hate Denver. But that could be fun from a fantasy football perspective. I know you got to run, sir. What is your walk-off for the day?
My walk-off for the day is just sit back and enjoy this sports weekend. I love October. The fall weather is here. We got baseball playoffs on the verge with the wild card, as Matt said, and he'll be doing those games. I'll be on the look for that. We got a great NFL slate, a great college slate. Take the weekend on the couch, just watch the sports and live it up and stay in that man cave because it's going to be a fun one.
All right, brother. Well, we will see you Sunday, 10 a.m. Eastern on the Handicappers. And, of course, we've got the college football kickoff show tomorrow. And we're going to head to Braves country. Get your lock ready because we had a bad week this past week.
I had a bad week, man. Mine sucked. I'm sorry.
You weren't the only one, man. You weren't by yourself at all. That was a woof. We woofed. We had a great Saturday. We had a terrible, terrible Sunday. So it kind of evens itself out, but woof.
We'll rebound.
We got to, man. We got to. It's desperation mode.
Hey, enjoy those Braves show, man. Keep killing it.
Yes, sir. Thank you. All right. We're going to be back in a flash here on the – hey, let's just dive into it. Let's go.
You're in Braves country.
Let's just get to it. Braves country. We're going to talk all Major League Baseball here as we take you to the top of the hour here on CBS Sports Radio in the 4 markets that we're in this morning. So good morning to everyone. We call this Braves country. Long story, but I've done a lot of shows because I have the attention span of a gnat. So we just call this Braves country, but we're going to be talking all Major League Baseball. I've been doing the play-by-play for the Braves on our YouTube channel, and we've had a lot of fun with that. Good responses. So we do this Braves country on Mondays and Fridays, And Temis will join us on Mondays to talk the American League. Because of work, he can't join us on Fridays. But we'll start with the Atlanta Braves getting their fourth championship, their fourth division title in as many years, 4 consecutive. And what it took for Atlanta to do that, when you lose, it all starts off with, we think Soroka's going to be there. There was actually an argument on whether or not he would be an opening day starter. And then they realized, well, that's just not realistic. Let's push it back. Let's push it back. Let's push it back. And then they realized after digging into it, he just has a terrible first surgery of the torn Achilles from last year. So with all that being said, we end up shutting him down. By the time it's all said and done, we shut him down. And then we go to Ozuna, who they signed to a 4-year deal in the offseason, and he was struggling, but we know he would have gotten going. He's a very good batter, very good hitter, terrible defensively, but very good hitter. And he breaks his hand sliding headfirst into third, I believe. Memory serves me correct. Okay, that happens. We'll get him back in 6 weeks. We got to find a way to scratch and claw. And then in the middle of this, right after the injury, he gets a domestic violence charge on him by the local Atlanta police, where they had to come to the house. He and his wife got into a big argument. There's a lot of different scenarios. I won't rehash them, but it looked like that something definitely went down, and there's a history of this because his wife had a charge put on her against him the previous year. So obviously there's a lot of discourse in that household. And so that's the most important thing. But we have to lay this out because this is what the Braves went through. So they lose Ozuna. And when you saw that report, you knew he wasn't coming back. Everybody knew he wasn't coming back. There was no way. So we go to trying to get above that where we know, and the Braves were just kind of muddling around there. You can't put it all on those 2 injuries, but you can say they just never got any momentum going. And then in the midst of all this, not too long afterwards, here comes a torn ACL, and Freddie Freeman said it best last night, a torn ACL to arguably the best player in Major League Baseball, Ronald Acuna Jr. Goofy, just freakish play against the Marlins where he tried to make a play at the wall and his knee went the wrong way. And so now you are looking at 2 guys out of your starting lineup that at the time when originally it was the 1-2-3 punch because it was Acuna, Freddie hitting second, and Ozuna hitting third. Now they've moved around the lineup so many times, but for argument's sake, it was 2 of their top 3 batters. And I get that Riley came through and played big this year, Ozzie, but at the time it was devastating. So you lose 2 of your top 3 batters. You lose what was looked upon as the ace of your staff. Where do we go from here? And Charlie Morton had been struggling midseason. The Braves couldn't get out in front of him, could not get out of their own way. The bullpen was a disaster. So Anthopoulos goes out and he makes a trade right after the Acuna injury for Jock Peterson, just to kind of give him a shot in the arm. He knew that Jock Peterson wasn't going to be the end all that beats all, but he needed a shot in the arm. And Peterson has had some big moments with Atlanta. And then the trading deadline comes. And he makes 3, actually 4, if you count Rich Rod. He makes 4 big moves, subtle but big in the grand scheme of it all, where he brings Rich Rodriguez in from the Pirates, who was their closer. Atlanta's yet to put him in that role, but he's pitched very well. Remember, during this whole thing, they had also went out and signed Shane Green, who has pitched pretty well for the Atlanta Braves the last couple of years, and he was an absolute disaster. Was it because he didn't have a typical spring training? I don't know. Has he just fallen off? I don't know. But I do know one thing. It didn't work, and it was money down the drain. They DFA'd him. And then the big 3 moves that at the time people looked at it and went, And I remember at the time making the comment, I think I like this, but we'll have to see how it unfolds. But they bring in Jorge Soler, who is now our leadoff hitter and playing right field. They bring in Adam Duvall, who gives a big pop with 38 home runs behind Austin Riley in the number 5 spot and is able to play center and right field. Heck, he can play left field if need be. And they bring in Rosario, who starts on the IL, but comes to Atlanta and starts playing for the Braves in earnest towards the end of August. And he's starting in left field. So we have a brand new outfield. Not to mention Peterson to come off the bench. We have 4 brand new outfielders that we're not wearing Atlanta Braves uniforms in early July. That's unheard of. You don't replace your entire outfield and still win your division in Major League Baseball. It just doesn't happen. But they found a way to do it. Charlie Morton started becoming Charlie Morton. They signed him to a 2-year extension because he's pitched so well. Travis d'Arnaud, they didn't even mention this. Travis d'Arnaud comes off the IL. He'd been missing for about 3 months or so because of a hand injury. He's yet to get back to form. You just keep hoping he finds his swing at some point in this postseason. So I said earlier in the show, I'm not going to be watching much Braves, but that's a lie. I watch every single Braves game for the last 30-something years. I've yet to miss a game. I've missed a few innings here and there, not many, but I've yet to miss a game. Even if I don't see it live, I go back and watch the replay. But I typically 99% of Atlanta Braves game I watch live in some fashion. So I will have it on a device this weekend. And what I'm really looking for, A, my God, let's not get injured. And B, I'd like to see the entire starting lineup, by the way, take the night off today. If you can do that, make it happen. Remember, we also lost Stephen Vogt. I haven't gotten an update on him in a while, but left-handed catcher with some pop. That was not an easy thing to lose. But Charlie Morton started doing things, which was big. Max Fried finally became Max Fried again. Took about half the season, a stint on the IL, but he came back, and he has been phenomenal his last 11 starts. His ERA is well under 2. I think right now it sits right about a 1.4 after 11 starts. Just phenomenal. And Ian Anderson pitched a great game last night. Looks like he's starting to turn into form. This Atlanta Braves team, no matter what anybody tells you, when the series numbers comes out, don't be scared to put a little hay on the Braves. It could pay big dividends. I think they are ripe for pulling off an upset against a Milwaukee team that struggles to score, that just lost their closer their setup man to get to he's the bridge to the closer in Devin Williams, a nasty righty. We know all the right-handed bats that the Braves have. Now, they have not fared well against Hader, and you don't want to give Philadelphia, beating the Phillies on the brain. You don't want to give Milwaukee the lead going into the ninth inning because Hader's just lights out. If you haven't watched much Josh Hader, but you have watched the Red Sox over the years, just imagine Chris Sale as a closer. That's essentially what Hader is. Just a lanky lefty comes out of nowhere with that delivery, fireballer. He actually throws harder than Sale, but you get my drift as far as just being able to pick the ball up out of his hand. Freddie Freeman, essentially has no shot of going yard against Hader. If he gets up against Hader, he's going to just try to serve it into left field and let the next guy have a chance at him. Yeah, I have not seen an update on Stephen Vogt. I just looked it up, and there's nothing new on him. So it's looking like we're going to go into that. Double check one more source, but it looks, nothing new has came out on him. That's the last thing I see on Vogt was when he was hurt 3 weeks ago. And it looks like, you just have to assume if you're a Braves fan that we are not going to get anything, from Vogt. Even if he were to come back, I mean, he would need to come back tonight to just get ready to get his feet wet, his timing back. So anyways, no news has come out on that. So, but when you talk about Atlanta having a chance in this series against Milwaukee, they're going to send out Morton, Fried, and then Anderson, which is what the Phillies just faced. And they had a mighty difficult time getting anything going against any of those guys. What was it, 14 innings and 1 earned run in the first 2 games? If Ian Anderson doesn't go back out for the 7th inning, the first 20 innings of those 3 starters against the Philadelphia Phillies, who have a decent offense, and though it may not be the greatest offense, it's at least as good, if not better, than the Milwaukee offense. They scored 1 run in 20 innings against those 3 starters. That gives you a fighting chance. So I do like Atlanta's chances. We'll talk more about it on Monday, but I like Atlanta's chances when it's all said and done to pull off the upset and play what could be some very meaningful baseball. If they get past that and they face either a red-hot Cardinals team or a Dodgers team that has not played great baseball, not the elite baseball that the Dodgers are used to. I know they're getting the wins. I know that they've got over 100 wins, and you like that, et cetera, but there's some chinks in that armor. And the Braves know how to play against Scherzer. So if they face him, I like their chances. I still would say that the Dodgers would be a fairly heavy favorite, and for good reason. If they go up against the Giants, and the Giants feel like a team of destiny, and I get that, but you look roster to roster, man to man, Atlanta could hang with the Giants. They've done it in the season series. I believe it's 3-3. And those were some phenomenal games out west against San Fran. I did that Friday night game, and what a great game that was. But the biggest issue that the Braves had was that Will Smith pitched poorly. Now he's pitched a little better the past couple of weeks. We'll see if he can turn that corner and get it going. But all in all, you got to like their chances. Now let's go ahead and move over to real quick. I do want to dive over to the National League West before we head to the American League, because the American League, there's a lot to unpack there. So let's do the West first. I want to make sure that we do get on that train. Last night, the Dodgers beat the Padres and the Giants had a walk-off win against Arizona. So their magic number is now 2. As you're looking at what we're going to have this tonight is DeSclafani will go for the Giants. And they're going to be at home. I think they got one of the biggest hexes out of their way in the fact that they went up and beat last night. They beat Bumgarner. That was a dangerous game. Bumgarner gave his all because he wanted the Giants to regret not re-signing him. But DeSclafani is going to be on the mound tonight. It's Clayton Kershaw versus Eric Lauer, Brewers versus Dodgers. I feel like the Brewers are going to give it the old college try tonight and probably tomorrow night. I believe Sunday. You leave it up to Sunday, you've left it up to the fate of AAA players. Because I believe that Milwaukee's going to get ready for the first round of the playoffs. They've got Corbin Burns going tomorrow night. Milwaukee does. 9:00 East. If you're looking for something fun to watch, Corbin Burns versus Julio Urias at 9:00. If that LSU Auburn game turns into a blowout, that should be a lot of fun. Now, the question will be, how many innings will they let him throw? Because Corbin Burns is my Cy Young winner. I believe that he deserves it over Scherzer. You look at the numbers, and Scherzer just got rocked. I believe that Corbin Burns absolutely deserves it over Scherzer. You don't want to get your Cy Young candidate injured. He's going to be their game 1 starter, you would think, in Friday against the Braves. It'll be, in all likelihood, it'll be Morton versus Burns. Urias will be going the mound for the Dodgers, and he's a Cy Young candidate in his own right. He hasn't gotten much talk about it. And back in the day when people really paid attention to wins, I think Urias would be the favorite. He's 19-3 with a 3.01 ERA. And there was a shift around 10 years ago where they no longer care about the wins as much. But I still believe it's an important stat. You give your team a chance to win. You grind it out. You're a bulldog. You find a way to win. 19-3 is nothing to sneeze at. He gets that 20th win against Burns on Saturday night. Do you not put Urias on your ballot? People keep talking about Scherzer and Buehler. Urias has had the best season overall, I believe. 19-3 is nothing to sneeze at, and I don't care. You don't at me with the woba and the whippa and the booba and the beba, beba, the dooba. ERA still means something to me. The whip means something to me. Wins and losses mean something to me. And we all know how Julio Urias was unhittable in the playoffs last year. But if you're a fan of upsets, you got to pull for the Dodgers to not win the division. Because the best way for us to get some new blood in that World Series, no matter who it is, the Dodgers need to face the Cardinals in that one-game play-in. Scherzer, who has looked human recently, going up against Adam Wainwright. That is a great theater. But the Giants will be saying Gaussman versus Musgrove tomorrow. That game is actually a 4:05 Eastern start. And they have not made announcements on who will go on Sunday for the Padres and many other teams, even the Dodgers. But that's because nobody knows what the scenarios will be. The Giants most likely will go with Logan Webb. You have to figure it's going to be Giants with Logan Webb. And the Dodgers, if you're going by the way who they went to the other day, you have to go back to, it's got to be Bueller. It's got to be Bueller. So both teams could very well sweep. You feel like you're in that gotta win now mode. It feels like a one-game play-in for all these scenarios. Let's go to the American League. Now, the American League, this is where it's going to get interesting. First of all, we'll hit the standings again real quick. Talked about at the beginning of the show. Let's hit the standings real quick. If you miss it, Houston's won the division. Chicago's won the division. Tampa Bay's won the division. In the National League, Braves and Brewers have won the division. The only division left up for grabs is the West we just talked about with Dodgers and Giants. In the wild card, the Cardinals are going to the wild card game. It is set. They're going to play either the Dodgers, or if the Dodgers catch the Giants, they'll play the Giants. But St. Louis is heading to California to play a game Wednesday night. Now, the American League wild card has just gotten so crazy. The Yankees have a 2-game lead, and it's a dead-footed tie, 89-70. They've played 159 games. The Yankees have played 159 games. The Blue Jays have played 159 games, so we don't have any makeup dates going into the weekend. But the Yankees have a 2-game lead over the Boston Red Sox and Seattle Mariners. And they have a 3-game lead over Toronto. Now, I believe the Yankees won the season series against Toronto. So there's no scenario where Toronto is going to be able to host the wild card. The Toronto's best bet is to slide in there and face what would have to be the Yankees. So for all intents and purposes, Toronto fans, you got to win every game. You had a chance to bring the Yankees back down to earth. You blew it last night. You could have beaten the Yankees and been tied with them going into the weekend. And how crazy would that have been? All right, actually, they would have been 1 game back. But had Toronto won last night, we would have been looking at a 3-way tie between Boston, Seattle, and Toronto, with the Yankees being a game in front of everybody. But the Yankees now have breathing room. They just got to get in there, and they got to get a W tonight. They get a W tonight. That will probably send them to the playoffs. It at least gets them into a play-in situation on Monday. The Red Sox are at Washington. The Mariners are at home against the Angels. You would say Boston has some kind of a advantage because Washington does not have the star power that could be like the Angels do. But first of all, Seattle's at home. Second of all, they're not going to pitch Ohtani, which I think is just a cowardly move across the board. The Angels sat out there. Ohtani came out a few days ago talking about, I want to win. I want to be a part of a winner. And you're not going to pitch Sunday. The most meaningful game the Angels have had in years. They could decide who the wild card team is against your rival, your division rival, and you're not going to pitch Ohtani. He got bombed last weekend. You're afraid of him getting bombed again, and you're just trying to get him to win the MVP award. That is chicken bleep in my book. You're going to get out here and tell me how you want to win and winning's everything and blah, blah, blah. But yet you're not going to go to the hill. Do you think there's any scenario where this takes place in the 70s and Tom Seaver doesn't go to the mound? You think there's any scenario in the 1980s where Nolan Ryan doesn't go to the mound? Do you think there's any scenario in the 1990s where Greg Maddux doesn't go to the mound? Do you think there's any scenario in the 2000s where Pedro Martinez doesn't go to the mound? I don't think there's much of a scenario, although it started changing about 10 years ago. But we'll take a grizzled guy. We'll take a guy in the 2010s who would have wanted that pride. And I don't believe there's any scenario well, heck, we'll take a guy who's still with us. He's going to pitch Wednesday. There's no scenario where Wainwright doesn't go to the mound. But Ohtani won't go to the mound. And it's like, oh, he's still going to hit. Yeah, whatever, because he's just trying to chase down. All he's doing is worrying about trying to win the MVP. So he's trying to chase down Vlad on the home run count. And they're looking at, he can only pad his stats. He can't hurt his stats. But there is no way that an all-time. You think Bob Gibson doesn't go to the mound in that scenario in the 60s? Whitey Ford makes the trip to the hill in the 50s. Walter Johnson's taking the ball. Christy Mathewson's taking the ball. Satchel Paige is taking the ball. But Shohei Ohtani can't take the ball. And I don't think it's necessarily him. I think it's his camp trying to protect his brand. But that is the difference between someone who has that killer instinct and wants to be the man, and the guy who wants to say he wants to be the man and ride the coattails. You see this in the NBA a lot, where you see a guy say, I want to play for a winner. You don't really want to do the work it takes to be a winner, like a LeBron James. Love him or hate him for all his ridiculous posts. But as a basketball player, LeBron James puts his head down and bullies his way to the hole and gets things done. This is the type of junk you would expect from these NBA players that leave to go ride coattails. They don't really want to be the man and do the work that it takes to be the man and have that inner desire to win. They just want to be on a team that is winning. So basically they're saying, go out there and spend a boat ton of money, because if not, I might leave. And it's funny that ESPN brought it up yesterday. Because, well, they have to think about he's threatening to leave. He's not a free agent for 3 years. Gives a crap. It's 3 years from now. You know how much changes in 3 years? Anyways, this is going to be a fun weekend in the American League wildcard game. And real quick, I'll hit you with the game times, and you can kind of figure out what you want to do with your time this weekend. But you've got the Yankees, the Red Sox, and the Blue Jays all starting at 7:00 tonight. And of course, that'll make Seattle versus the Angels the 10:00 game. That's the funny thing is that the Angels will either have the pressure, the Mariners will either have the pressure on them, or they'll know they're playing with house money. What if all three of those teams lose tonight before the Angels hit the field? Mariners hit the field. So there's either going to be an incredible amount of pressure to keep pace, or you're going to know the scenario in front of you. Tomorrow, it's a little topsy-turvy. The Rays and Yankees play at 1. The Yankees could clinch by tomorrow. The Red Sox play at 4. The Blue Jays are playing at 3. And that leaves you with the Mariners game not until 9:00 at night. By the way, they'll have Flexen on the mound. It's a really good pitcher in his own right. And then, of course, we talked about this earlier, but Sunday, all the games start at 3:00 Eastern. Around that time. You got 3:05, 3:10. The Braves aren't pitching until 3:20. By the way, Syndergaard's going to pitch for the Mets against the Braves. I might tune in for a little bit of that because I haven't seen Syndergaard pitch in 2 years. So I might tune in for a little bit of that. But realistically, the Braves will have all their scrubs in. You don't really want to lose that fire, but you don't want to get anyone hurt either. You can guarantee yourself that you're going to get the W. I mean, that you're going to go out there and have these guys stay healthy. You're going to play them. Last night, Freddie, with the game, it wasn't wrapped up, but the Braves were leading and heading towards that W. He got hit in the right arm with a 100-mile-an-hour fastball just above the elbow. And why I said it at the last night during the broadcast, why in the world Freddie they have not convinced Freddie to wear something on that arm. I do not understand. He has had broken wrists. He's had elbow issues over and over and over again. And I know he'll come out and say, well, it just restricts me. I don't like to do that. Dude, if you put that on and learn to swing with it, it's probably too late this year. You don't want to jack them up. My God, in the off season, practice with it. Find something. Even if it's not the full body armor that Bonds and Acuna wore, or Acuna wears and Bonds wore. But get something where you're not going to be out there and a pitch comes inside 100 miles an hour from a lefty. That's hard to get out of the way. And Alvarado was not throwing at him. But my God. Anyways, let's go ahead and start getting out of here. I've let this run a little bit. I do miss doing the daily show with y'all. Just a lot to take on. Once I get in the captain's chair, I get going, but so much stuff I have to put towards doing games. I won't be doing Braves games. I won't be doing another Braves game until it matters, which will be next week. So I need a little bit of break. We're planning on doing some games. Just I don't know what it is, and so just like and subscribe, because it's getting together with other people. It's finding out what my schedule is going to be like, all that kind of stuff. Here we go. Turn back time. On this date, in 1932, this is the infamous date in World Series lore where Babe Ruth points to the outfield, predicting that he will hit a home run on the next pitch before he takes the Cubs pitcher, Charlie Root, deep for the second of his 2 home runs in New York's 7-5 win at Wrigley Field. The Yankees would go on to win the series. Chicago right-hander threw the pitch, denies the Yankee slugger ever made the gesture, but there is video that suggests it. Babe Ruth would never officially comment on this. He would joke back and forth that he did and did not do it, but he never quite gave a comment. But if you go back and you look at the video, it looks like that he did do it. And I'm looking at it again, and it looks like that he does something. He might have just been wailing his bat away or whatever. But anyways, that was on this date in 1932. Birthdays.
It's your birthday today. What does that mean? I guess I'll try to explain that on this day.
All right, someone who is no longer with us, Chuck Hiller, second baseman, first National League player to hit a grand slam in World Series play. He was born on this date in 1934, made it to 2004. So a decent run of 70 years. Chuck Hiller, that is absolutely saying something. The first man to hit a grand slam in the World Series. He was a coach as well. He hit the grand slam with the Giants. He played with the Mets, the Phillies, and the Pirates as well, but he did it with the Giants in the 1960s. He was also, looks like that he won a World Series as a coach in 82 with the St. Louis Cardinals. So Chuck Hiller would have been, well, he never would have made it. Also, guys, still with us, Rod Carew is, 76 years old. And we'll throw one more out at you. I know he still has the stink of everything over him, but Mark McGwire, he was born on this date in 1963. That takes him to 58 years old, and still one of my favorite summers my entire lifetime. I would say childhood, but I really wasn't a child. I was in my 20s. But the Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa chase, everybody who lived through that. If you didn't love baseball at the time, you loved it just a little more, even if you already loved it. You loved it just a little more. If you didn't love baseball going into that summer, you came out a baseball fan. Everybody. For all you younger folks who don't remember it, weren't alive, whatever, no matter what anyone tells you, everybody was talking about that the entire summer. And I loved it. I love it. You know, I'm a big baseball guy. That's my sport. When you see the entire nation fall in love with the sport that you absolutely adore, and they finally get it, I'd sit back and just listen to people talk. I wouldn't even interject my opinion. I remember the bar I was working out at the time, and I would just listen to the conversation because I loved it. Right and wrong, whatever, they were going back and forth. I'm pulling for Sosa. I'm pulling for McGwire. Well, this is why I think he's going to. That's why I'm going to think. But regardless, everybody talked about that. My walk-off for the day is we'll see you tomorrow. Be here a little early. We'll get going around 8 o'clock on the Take Me Out to the Ball game. And then we'll do a full 2 hours in earnest. And we'll do a full 2 hours in earnest on Sunday. And made the comment earlier, Friday, Saturday, and Monday, we're going to be going on at 8 a.m. And Sunday will still be 10 to 12. So 2 hour shows. Hopefully you get your fill, and depending on what my schedule turns into, we'll go from there. We shall see you. Have a great weekend, y'all, and get your bets down, because there's some good ones out there before that line changes. And good luck to you.
It's Friday, working stiffs. Everybody.
4, 3, 2, 1. Happy weekend!
Goodbye, sweetheart. Well, it's time to go. We're back tomorrow with another show. Well, unless we're fired, we'll talk to you then. Goodbye, sweetheart. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Guys and gals, it's time to go. We'll see you on the next show.
Same bat time, same bat channel.
Thanks for listening to the Armchair Quarterbacks on these CBS Sports affiliates and catching the show on YouTube Live. We're here weekdays Find Armchair Quarterbacks on YouTube Live today. Please subscribe and share and take us everywhere you go. The Armchair Quarterbacks, your first choice for Southern sports talk, live from the First Coast.
Gonna get another cigarette, please.